peace, greetings and wholeness to everyone out there in TV land. Back better than ever. Another one coming to you live and direct. This episode, we're going to be talking about personal jurisdiction. A lot of us like to challenge jurisdiction with our special appearances when we appear to these tribunals. And I like to, get some more educational information on this matter. I am coming from O'Connor's Federal Rules of Civil Trials in 2019 by Michael C. Smith. First and foremost, to get some house cleaning rules out the way. I am not an attorney. This is not a law firm. If you are in need of legal advice, I inform you and advise you to seek yourself a competent attorney. Now that's been said, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. All right. So we all here to learn together. This is not a measurement of the egos, more of learning, and I think all of us should know thy law of the land. I think it's something that you must know so that you can live long on the earth or longer on this earth. Knowing the laws of the land, so that you also can be able to check those we put in power when they are going against what we've actually delegated them far as authority to do and what not to do. A lot of us will walk around, got guns on our hips, but don't know the laws that protect them. Just claim we have free speech, but don't know when that speech can be limited. It's a lot of things that we're not fully aware of, and I think the schools purposely took these things out so that we can be very dependent upon what they say and do versus having our own self-governed republic. They rather, it's like I think it's called forgot where it's just a term, starts with an A. It's just not coming to my head, but where the elite rule, right? That's kind of what we're headed into. What we're experiencing. But I don't want to talk politics right now. I just want to talk about the rules and procedures. All right, now one thing of knowing the law is another thing to also know the rules and procedures of where you go to enforce the law, right? To get redress, to get your remedy, to get your some form of restoration, right? To be made whole again. We go to courts, we go to these tribunals to get what we want accomplished. Or we still may be forced to go to a tribunal against our will, per se, when there is a claim filed against us, whether it be in the civil court or a charge filed in the criminal court. And, jurisdiction is one of the ways that they're able to have you in their tribunal. And if you're not familiar with how jurisdiction works, the types of jurisdiction, you can get caught in this complex web. Now we know we have subject matter jurisdiction, we have personal jurisdiction, and that subject matter is called in rem, and personal is called in personam. Right now we're talking about personal jurisdiction. All right, and we're just talking about just the basics of what the federal civil rules of procedure talk about it. And the reason why I want to go with the federal versus, say, your local state rules is because most of your state rules are in harmony with the federal rules. A majority of the time. All right. Well, let's go to it. We are very familiar with this one for those who may have filed their own petition in court, and maybe the adverse party filed a motion to dismiss under Rule 12 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Maybe a Rule 12b-6, which is failure to state a claim. Most of us are familiar with that one. But this here is Rule 12b-2, and dealing primarily with personal jurisdiction, 12b-2. Most of us would use this in a maybe defense fashion versus, you typically want to get not so much a 12B, depending on the case, not so much with 12B2 when you're filing cases against a lot of these corporate fictions. They typically like to hit you with a 12B6. But again, I'm talking about 12B2, personal jurisdiction. So the purpose of 12B2 is a motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction permits a non-resident defendant to challenge the court's jurisdiction over the defendant's person or property. In a 12B2 motion, a non-resident defendant alleges that it has insufficient contacts with the forum state to justify the court's exercise of jurisdiction over the defendant's person or property. Now, we got to ask ourselves, what is a non-resident? And we also have to identify, well, what do you mean by insufficient contacts with the forum state? All right, let's keep reading. It says the defendant must submit the motion in writing. The issue of personal jurisdiction is not raised by the defendant. The court can raise the issue on its own initiative. Should I say more than that? They typically don't do that for us, especially going in there pro se, unless I see them dismiss cases in favor of attorneys versus in favor of us most of the time. What does that say about our judiciary? If the court does raise the issue, the court must allow the plaintiff a reasonable opportunity to respond. So typically, in this case, if you're asking for a motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction, you are the defendant and the opposing party is the plaintiff. And if the judge is deciding to, dismiss it on those grounds on its own initiative, the court still has to allow the plaintiff the opportunity to object to that, or why that case still should be ongoing and not dismissed. Now, let's keep going. It says some grounds for the motion to dismiss. The motion can allege that one, the statute or rule relied on for service of process does not authorize service on the non-resident alien. The court's exercise of jurisdiction over the defendant would violate due process. The court's exercise of jurisdiction over the defendant would violate due process. Omni Capital International versus Rudolph Wolf, U.S. Supreme Court case in 1987. Wiz versus Memory, Crystal, and that is a 10th Circuit case in 1995. And then U.S. versus Ferrara in D.C. Circuit Court in 1995 as well. Let's keep going. It says one, as far as the grounds is concerned, one ground is no authority for service. The defendant can allege that its activities did not fall within the reach of the statute or rule authorizing service of process. Give me some details of what that is. Number one, a nationwide service, a federal statute providing for nationwide or worldwide service of process confers personal jurisdiction on any federal district court over any defendant who has minimum contacts with the United States. You keep hearing that minimum contacts, right? Forget all the other stuff I was saying. Not really forget it, but just zoning on this minimum contact thing. And they're telling you right there how they're getting jurisdictions is through minimum contacts with the forum state or the United States. Minimum contact. Let's go to the other one. See here. Number two. No due process. The defendant can challenge that the court's exercise of jurisdiction will violate due process because, number one, The defendant does not have any minimum contacts with the forum state. There it goes again. And 2, maintaining the suit in the forum state will offend traditional notions of fair play and substantial justice. Now, we can go down the spookism on that one. I shall not here. If you want to go more in the spookism of the rabbit hole, please join the Discord, and we'll drop that in the chat or in the description below. But no due process. So again, the defendant can allege that the court's exercise of jurisdiction will violate due process because, so the exercise of jurisdiction violates due process because the defendant does not have minimum contacts with the forum state. There goes minimum contacts again. What is minimum contacts, ladies and gentlemen? Well, we're going to get to that. Number 2, maintaining the suit in the forum state will offend traditional notions of fair play and substantial justice. Basically, maybe the setting where the court is being had or heard, or the issues being heard will violate substantial due process. Maybe it needs to be in the court of equity and maybe not a court of law. Is it saying that? Or is it saying in the state? Well, again, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole here. Don't want to go down the rabbit hole. Number 1, minimum contacts regarding due process. So it violates due process if the motion should allege that the defendant does not have minimum contacts with the state. What is this minimum contact thing? It says, note, in limited circumstances, the minimum contacts analysis may not be necessary for a court to exercise personal jurisdiction. Okay. Minimum contacts are not required to exercise transient jurisdiction, referred to as tag jurisdiction. How many of you guys heard of tag jurisdiction? Let's look this up. Tag jurisdiction. Tag. T-A-G. Jurisdiction. Now I have it here in this book, but I want to see what Google gives me. Tag definition. Okay. So it says, what is tag jurisdiction? Tag jurisdiction is a way for a court in one state to constitutionally assert personal jurisdiction over an out-of-state defendant, non-resident, out of state, who visits the state where the court presides. The court will have personal jurisdiction of the defendant is properly served while in the state. Properly served means receive proper notification of the lawsuit. So why is it called tag jurisdiction, you ask? Tag is the U.S. name for a game children play where one child chases another child. The object of the game is for the child to touch another child. When he touches the other child, he will yell, tag. Okay. Example of tag jurisdiction. Let's give an example. For example, let's say Peter sues Debbie in New York. Debbie lives in Florida, though. And New York does not have personal jurisdiction over her. One day, Debbie visited New York. Peter served notice on Debbie of the lawsuit while she's visiting New York. And let's say his agent hands her a copy of the complaint, and the court agrees that handing her the complaint is proper service. Now the New York court can constitutionally assert jurisdiction over Debbie, even if she has no other contact with the state. This is similar to the game of tag children play because Peter successfully tagged Debbie. Tag jurisdiction. I can say a lot of you may have not heard of that. I'm willing to bet a lot of you didn't heard of that before. But it's okay. We're here to learn. It's not a measurement of who knows the best, who knows more, right? We're here to learn. It's going to be a little boring. So if you're not truly a student, this channel is not for you. If you like the hype and the oobly blah blah and the wolf tickets that's being sold on the internet, go on those channels, go on those pages, follow those people. I am here to give you the real, the raw, the direct, and of course mixed with some of my opinion, of course, perspective and experiences as well, and based on fact and truth, but straight out of my off my bookshelf back here, and you can see. I'm going to do this as often as I can, read everything that I have in the background. If you have something that you want me to read, or subject matter that I might have on my bookshelf, please drop the comment, and I will search and I will do my best to try to present it to you. Okay. We also accept donations. You can actually cash app us at She Amaru Ali, right? XIAMARUALI. That's Cash App She Amaru XIAMARUALI. And the great minister Ture Ali will pop up my handsome face that God has touched me with. Nah, seriously, all donations can be sent there. We definitely appreciate that. You giving this donation will allow me and provide the energy. You know, we like energy, right? And money is a currency, it's energy. It motivates us, right? To continue to do the things we're doing for you guys freely. You know, we don't have to. A lot of sweat and tears and long nights and the candles burnt, eyes burnt, relationships failed, arguments had. So on and so forth to compile and get all this information I'm presenting to you. So be kind, be appreciative, and spread the love, right? No pressure, but definitely appreciate it. All right, so we talked about tag jurisdiction, and then it says, let's keep going. Here we go. Under one minimum context, A, purposeful availment. It says, before informed state can exercise personal jurisdiction over a non-resident defendant, the due process clause requires that the defendant purposefully avail itself of the benefits and protections of the state laws by establishing minimum contacts with the state. So if there's any proof that you availed yourself to the protections and benefits of the state law, you, my friend, are subject to that court's jurisdiction. They have personal jurisdiction over you because you've availed yourself to those benefits and privileges that the state has to offer by establishing the minimum contact with the state. A defendant's contacts with the forum state must be such that the defendant should reasonably anticipate being hauled into court. What is a purposeful availment requirement? What is that, right? I purposely avail of the benefits and protections of the state. Well, are you doing business in the state? Privileges, benefits. Okay. Are you any type of activities in the state? Commercial activity, right? Any commercial act that can drag you into personal jurisdiction world. Okay. We're still going to talk about these minimal contacts, and I am not done yet. So please hang in there with me because it only gets better. Okay. Still on minimum contacts. All right. Let me see here. Now we're talking about here specific or general jurisdiction regarding minimum contacts with the foreign state. So you have specific jurisdiction and you have general jurisdiction in regards to obtaining personal jurisdiction based on minimum contacts. So let's not get this here confused. To clear the confusion for those who are already confused, I do apologize, but let's dive right into it. Specific or general jurisdiction. A defendant's contacts with the foreign state are analyzed under two theories: specific jurisdiction or general jurisdiction. Analysis under specific jurisdiction focuses on the cause of action, the defendant, and the forum. Analysis under general jurisdiction focuses only on whether there are sufficient continuous systematic contacts, which are entirely distinct from the cause of action. So in specific jurisdiction, you're talking about the cause of action, the actual defendant themselves, and the actual forum state in which that issue at stake is to be heard. Then you have general jurisdiction, which focuses on sufficiently continuous systematic contacts. They're still stuck on that contact, which is entirely distinct from the cause of action between the defendant and the forum to render the defendant at home. Let's keep going. The standard for general jurisdiction is considerably more stringent than the standard for specific jurisdiction. So it means stringent, more strict. Courts apply 5-part tests when measuring minimum contacts. Say again, courts apply 5-part tests in establishing or determining or measuring minimum contacts. Number 1, the nature and quality of the contacts. Number 2, the quantity of the contacts. Number 3, the relation of the cause of action to the contacts. Number 4, the interest of the forum state in providing a forum for its residents to resolve disputes. And number 5, the convenience of the parties. This is the 5-part test when measuring minimum contacts. 1, the nature and quality of the contacts. 2, the quantity of the contacts. 3, the relationship of the cause of action to the contacts. 4, the interest of the foreign state, the interests of the foreign state, the interests of the foreign state. And number 5, the convenience of the parties. Now let's talk about more in detail specific jurisdiction. Now we kind of touched on general jurisdiction. Specific jurisdiction in more detail states, in general, a court has specific jurisdiction when a plaintiff's cause of action arises from or is directly related to the defendant's contacts with the foreign state. It says specific jurisdiction is not based on the plaintiff's contacts with the foreign state or standing alone. The defendant's contacts with the plaintiff, or standing alone, the defendant's contacts with the plaintiff, but instead focuses on the defendant's contact with the foreign state. It says a court has specific jurisdiction if the defendant committed at least one act in a foreign state, and if that act is substantially related to the suit. Let's look at some of these contacts here. A stream of commerce. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. That is considered specific jurisdiction. Stream of commerce. Specific jurisdiction may be based on the movement of goods from a manufacturer through its distributors to consumers. That is through the stream of commerce. Typically, in the stream of commerce cases, A non-resident acting outside of the forum places a product into the stream of commerce that ultimately causes harm to the plaintiff inside the forum. So let's think about this here. Driver license, any license, that is a minimum contact. That is real estate license. That's commercial, right? There's many ways that the state can show that you have minimum contacts, and this is how they gain personal jurisdiction. Now, of course, you will always challenge it until they can prove that you do have minimum contacts. But you know what gets you? For those who do have a driver's license, hey, I am not telling you don't get a driver's license. This is not me telling you that. Okay? But just drop some jewels on you really quick. But this is not, please don't take this as me telling you don't get a driver's license. And going, oh, he told me I drive without a license. All right, hey, listen, go to my other channels if you want to hear all that. If you want to hear more of that rabbit hole stuff, like I said, that's the Discord. This is YouTube. This is Facebook. This is we're gonna keep it solid here. We're gonna keep it nice for those who just want to learn. Sharpen their sword a little bit. Put a little bit of ink on that pen. All right. Thank you. Okay. So back to this license thing. So, if you are out here and you are traveling, driving, whatever, in a automobile or in your car or your motor vehicle or your conveyance, understand when you do show your license, how could you challenge personal jurisdiction from that point? You showed your license. So I'm not telling you don't try. I'm just trying to make you think here. Why would I show a license that proves minimum contact, insurance proves minimum contact, and then try to turn around and challenge personal jurisdiction? You follow me? Are you with me here? Now, again, I love that you're trying. I love that, the fight in us all to, correct the wrongs that have been done for so long and regarding a lot of these things that we're not supposed to have and they're making us have. I get it. But let's just be, realistic here. If you are showing an ID, insurance, or anything that can be proven that you have contacts with the United States or the state, you've just proven the point of them having personal jurisdiction over you. Right there. Okay? So keep that in mind, all right? Minimum contacts is truly how they gain jurisdiction over non-resident defendants. Now, you can be residents of more than one location. You can have multiple residents, but you only have one domicile. You can have multiple residences, but you can only have one domicile. Okay? Now, we can combat some of this minimal contacts things in very clever ways, but this is not for this show. That is more for our private members. But this is to get you to think, besides just regurgitating and doing stuff because you heard somebody said it was done for them or they did it and saw it on this guru book or whatever it is. I just want you to, use your thoughts here, okay? So, minimal contacts. We learned it has to deal with stream of commerce, any form of contact with the state, driver's license, any form of other licenses, professional licenses, maybe doing business in the state, You might have maybe be a W-2 employee here, maybe 1099 contractor here. Anything that has to do with the state, uh, permission or anything, personal jurisdiction right there. Boom. Okay. So just, there's something to think about when it regards to personal jurisdiction. Again, we have the two theories of it, which is specific and general. And specific deals with the cause of action, the defendant, and the forum. And general deals specifically with the continuous and systematic contacts you have with the actual forum state, which is very distinct from the cause of action itself. And as I stated, you have a 5-part test regarding measuring minimum contacts, and that's the nature, the quality of contacts, the quantity of contacts, the relationship of the cause of action with the contacts, and the interest of the forum state in providing a forum, which is the court, for its residents to resolve that dispute and the convenience of the parties. So yeah, I hope that helps some of you who are maybe new to this information, or who are just like me, are continuing every day to learn new things. Even though I have a lot of books on my bookshelf, you guys, I don't know it all. I'm sure I read almost every book on there, and I can tell you now, I don't remember all of it. Right? This stuff, it takes repetition seriously to really remember it, everything. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys. I appreciate you joining in and tuning in on this boring show. Please like, follow, and share, and subscribe to the channel at Living Equity. Follow me on Facebook at Trey Ali, and on Instagram on Living Equity, as well on TikTok at Living Equity. And also, you can set up a consultation. Everyone gets a one-time free 15-minute consultation at livingequity.org. And if you want to know more about infinite banking and being the bank and building legacies, using insurance, and how to leverage and arbitrage using insurance, and your profits maybe from some of your business with insurance, visit ThompsonInsure.com, Thompson with the P, insure.com, to also schedule a consultation there to see how we can help. But that's all I have for you guys on personal jurisdiction and minimal contacts. Again, please donate to us on Cash App at Chi Amaru Ali, XIAMARUALI, Minister Ture Ali, and Venmo at Living Equity. And until we meet again, man, this is all I got, man. Give yourself a round of applause for hanging in there with me on this long, boring show. Seriously, man, I love what I do. I love that y'all staying tuned and putting your listening ears on and your equity eyes, and stay vigilant. As always, it's all love and wholeness, peace, and high vibrations. See y'all next time.